Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So welcome back. And as Brother Akbar was saying, that technology is technology, and we try our best, but sometimes things don't work. For some reason, the computer was plugged in and still the battery drained, and I've never seen that happen before. So let's hope that we change the charger. Let's hope that this time it's going to be able to hold the charge that it's getting, inshallah. Okay, so I think it might take a bit of time before everyone joins in again. I hope that we didn't lose everyone. But khair, inshallah, we try our best and then we leave the rest to Allah Ta'ala. I was speaking about not being safe from shaitan. So while we have people rejoining in, inshallah, let me just share a couple of stories about that. First of all, this ayah, there's a number of ahadith which talk about one of the prominent examples of somebody, Birsis, who was known as one of the scholars, one of the zuhad, one of the very sort of abid people of the Bani Israel. They knew about this person. Now, even though he was famous for that, there was some type of flaw that he had, and he started to get impressed with his own worship. And shaitan found a way to kind of influence him. And one thing led to another, and he found himself committing such a terrible crime that he was exposed for, that they decided to actually crucify him. Now, when he was on the cross and he was about to leave this world, shaitan comes to him and he says that, hey, I'm the one whom you follow, and I was the one who tempted you to take all these steps, and it's because of me that you got to this position. Now, if you want, I can save you. So he says, how? He says, you just have to obey me. Well, how do I obey you? He says, okay, perform a sajda for me. He says, how can I do a sajda? I'm here, I'm nailed up to a cross. He says to him that just sort of do one type of motion to indicate that you do a sajda to me. That's all I ask for you, and then I'll save you. So he does that, and that's when shaitan disappears. Says, okay, I don't have anything to do with you. And then he dies in that state. And it's a well-known example for people. So that's something that's talked about, and it shows us that even somebody who's renowned for worship, they shouldn't be safe from this. There's another story told of a great alim who was one time he sees this dream, and he had spent a lifetime of struggle against the self, of refining himself, of becoming a more perfect abd of Allah. But towards the end of his life, he sees this dream where he sees that he's on the top of a mountain, and Iblis is on top of a mountain in front of him, and Iblis has this look of incredible desire to want to get him and grab him, and he looks down and he sees there's this pit down in between these two mountains, and it's the pit of hell, and he sees that shaitan wants to get him and throw him there. So he yells to him, he says, Iblis, I'm old now, can't you leave me alone? Enough is enough. And Iblis responds and he says that never. And with that, he wakes up from his dream and he starts to say, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. So these are just reminders for us that shaitan is always active and he has these promises, but they're empty promises. So now with that, let's see if we can move now to our interactive portion. I'm going to ask you, whoever is still on the stream, to please join us on slido.com. And what you can do is, it's very easy. The code is quite simply SABA for Saba. So inshallah, if you guys can join in, we do have a fair number of people there. I hope that they're still with us. So what we're going to do is, it looks like Dr. Fauci, man, we're honored to have him. I thought that he'd be a busy person, but looks like him and Donald Trump are maybe looking for some inspiration, and we're very honored for them to join us in our live stream tonight. Okay, so with that, listen carefully, because the first question is going to be related to the verse that you're just about to hear. So listen very carefully. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
ينبت لكم به الزرع والزيتون والنخيل والأعناب ومن كل الثمرات إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون.
Okay, now let's let's do that one more time. Just in case.
ينبت لكم به الزرع والزيتون والنخيل والأعناب ومن كل الثمرات إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون.
Okay, so with that, we are now going to launch our quiz, and I hope that everyone is ready. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, let's see. All right. So which one of these was not mentioned directly or indirectly in the verse that you just heard? Okay, I think I kind of made it easy for you because I even gave you like the Arabic words this time too, so let's see if you can get it. Okay, so we have a tie between pomegranate and none of the above, and it was a bit of a trick question. I'm so sorry, but it did mention thimar, it did mention fruits, and fruits indirectly encompasses pomegranates as well too, right? So pomegranates were indirectly mentioned in the verse, so the answer is none of the above. The verse mentioned everything, and after all, Allah causes everything to grow, right? So whatever grows, it was included in that verse. Okay, next question. Spending that counts is like a garden on a hillside because of what? That was from yesterday's live stream lecture. Let's see who can get that one. Okay, and so such a garden receives more sunlight, and that is exactly correct. Okay, the other ones were sort of like a trick question again, but I'm sure that most people got it, alhamdulillah, 50%. So next question. According to hadith in Quran, Nabi Musa was a qurratu ayn to which of the following? That's again from yesterday's lecture portion. This is easy now. Okay, we have the vast majority voting for Asiyah and Nabi Musa's mother, and that is exactly correct. He could have been a qurratu ayn for Firawn, but according to hadith, Firawn tells Asiyah, he's your qurratu ayn, he's not a qurratu ayn for me. He's not that one who refreshes my eye and gives me that feeling of like a lot of like happiness. Okay, and the last question, fill in the blank. This is from today. Satan, when he tells someone, be a disbeliever so I can help you, then when he becomes a disbeliever, Satan says what? Oh, looks like it was too easy because we have almost everyone selecting the same answer, and you are correct. He says, I have nothing to do with you. Excellent. So now let's look at our leaderboard for this evening's program. Okay, that's not me. Okay, somebody else put that name in. They got 4 out of 4. And we have Hania, Dr. Fauci. He's moving fast. Wow, after one night. And Talia and Zain and Sister and Hussein. And then we have other people in 2 out of 4, many other people in 2 out of 4 points, but thank you all for participating in today's quiz. That wasn't me though. Okay, all right, we're gonna finish the quiz there. All right, next time if you guys can use your own names, I would appreciate that. All right, so we now have a limited amount of time left, but inshallah we are going to move to the lecture portion. I'm gonna try to keep it really short and sweet today. By the way, we know that you can't visit the Sabah Center right now. And you can, go and browse the beautiful library that Sabah Center has. So we decided to bring the library to you. Okay, and that's what you see in the background. And we had a couple of additions to the library. And if you can spot those additions, feel free to type them out into the ideas portion of the Slido, just to see if you guys are attentive. By the way, you can always add questions to the Slido event, and inshallah, today we're not going to have a chance, but inshallah we will be having a portion of the night to talk about those. And we got 2 questions yesterday as well, so thank you so much for those. I do intend to inshallah address those. Okay, so now we're going to move to the speech portion for tonight. The story that we're speaking about is the story of Nabi Musa alayhi salam and Firawn. And we're taking it from as the basis, the story as it is covered in Surah Al-Qasas of the Quran. Now, just to refresh our memory and just to kind of bring context to what I'm going to be speaking about today, this story begins when Allah Ta'ala makes a general promise. He says in verse 5, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين, that He is going to take those who are oppressed, those who are abased, and He's going to make them the imams, and then He's going to establish them in the land. وَنُمَكِّنَّ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, and He's going to show Pharaoh and Haman and their hosts from them of that they used to fear. Meaning that from those same people that they used to oppress, they're going to come and they're going to be a source of showing them what they used to be scared of. Okay, so this is a promise that Allah makes. Now, He wants to give us an example of how this happened in history, and He does that through Nabi Musa's mother. Okay, now He's choosing a single example, and if we think about this, the question might come to our mind that how can it be the case that one example would serve as a proof that this will happen throughout history in every circumstance? Because normally when we talk about different, let's say we're talking about science, and we say that we're able to show that one experiment, it yields a certain result one time. Well, if you take that to scientists, they'd be like, hey, that's not enough proof for me. You got to show me that this is going to happen all the time. You got to reproduce it, different circumstances, whatever, right? But when it comes to Allah Ta'ala, because He is the most truthful of speakers, because He is the most powerful of power, for those who have power, because He is the Rabb, He doesn't need to give us multiple examples. It's enough for Him, if we really believe that this is the word of Allah Ta'ala, it's enough for Him to tell us that this is what it is. He gives us an example just to show, and that should be enough for us. But one of the things that we see in this example is that it is really quite the example. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala shows us how He can fulfill His promise even though everything seems to be going contrary to that promise being fulfilled. Okay, how so? Well, Nabi Musa, first of all, he's born in a year where they're killing all the newborn boys. Secondly, his mother has to put him in a river after first saving him from guards who are chasing after him, and there's the incident that happens where he has to be hidden in an oven and he's protected from the heat. Then he gets taken up by the enemy of the Bani Israel, the one who's commanded all of the children to be killed. And then the only lady who is going to be able to feed him is from the Bani Israel themselves. But Allah shows us that despite whatever challenges might be there, His promise will be fulfilled. This is a definite thing. And this is the way Allah Ta'ala operates. That despite the challenges, His word will prevail. In fact, if we want to look at it a bit deeper, we can say that when He gives us this story and He presents it in a way where He's showing that despite all these challenges, He remained true to His promise to the mother of Musa alayhi salam, what we can say there is that He's giving us a preview of what it's like to be able to achieve Allah's promise. It's not a walk in the park. It is a path which is filled with difficulties. But when those difficulties are put in our way, if we do the right thing, if we do our responsibility, just like the mother of Musa did, then His promise will be there for us. His promise of giving us what our hearts desire truly, which is, of course, he himself, company of the Ahlul Bayt, the Jannah. His promise in terms of maghfirah, his promise in terms of guidance, his promise in terms of help and sa'ada and good fortune. All of that is there for us. Now, one of those examples was the mother of Nabi Musa. But there's another example of somebody who also faces challenges, and by undergoing those challenges, she is able to reach the promise of Allah, and that is Asiyah, the wife of Firawn. I want to summarize some of the challenges that she was facing. First of all, we see in verse number 9, when she gets the baby from the river, she says that لا تقتلوه, do not kill him. عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذه ولدا. Perhaps we can in some way benefit from him and we can take him as a son. Why would she want to take him as a son? One of the tests that she was facing in her life is that despite wanting to have a child, she was not gifted with a child from Allah Ta'ala. And this, of course, can be a very difficult test for somebody to face. So she's somebody who is already being tried. That's test number 1. Test number 2 is that she's married to somebody who is bloodthirsty. He's a murderer. Right? What's her first reaction? She says, "La taqtuluhu." I know you, Firawn. You're my husband. You are dead set on slaughtering these children, and you're a tyrant. So obviously, this is very difficult to be married to somebody like that. That's her test number 2. Okay, it's not a very good domestic partner to have. All right, number 3 is and this we know from a verse that I'm going to be quoting in just a bit. Allah Ta'ala mentions the wife of Firawn when he's describing in Surah At-Tahrim in verse number 11. So one thing we know about a third challenge is that she has to live amongst a people who are themselves oppressors. She's living in the same community as people who overall they're okay with doing dhulm, they're okay with turning away from God, they're okay with oppressing others. This is challenge number 3. Challenge number 4 that she's facing is that she is a believer and she has to lead a life of taqiyya. She has to hide her faith. In one hadith we're told that وَكَانَتْ مُؤْمِنَةً مُخْلِصَةً وَكَانَتْ تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ سِرًّا. She was a believer and she was sincere and pure in her intention, and she used to worship Allah in secret. Of course, it's when something is so dear to you like your faith, it's very hard to hide it. Somebody would like to share that with others. That's part of our identity. To hide the thing which is most core to your identity should be something that's very difficult. Now she's facing all these difficulties. In another hadith, by the way, we're told that there were a few people in history who never worshipped anyone other than Allah Ta'ala. Amongst them is the mu'min of Ali Yasin. Amongst them is the wife of Firawn, and amongst them is Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Meaning that these individuals were famous for this, that despite being in an environment where others were freely worshipping idols, they had totally other different ideologies, they remained muwahid, they remained people who are always on the creed of Tawheed. Okay, so this is the type of person she is. Now, these are 4 challenges that we know that she is facing. The Quran doesn't tell us much about her other than this one incident of where she takes the baby, she convinces Firawn to spare him, and he becomes a source of delight for her eyes. But then when we go to Surah At-Tahrim, she comes back into the picture again. And Allah Ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون. Allah draws an example for those who have faith, the wife of Pharaoh, when she said, إذ قالت رب ابني لي عندك بيتا في الجنة, my Lord, build me a home near you in paradise and deliver me from Pharaoh and his conduct and deliver me from the wrongdoing lot. Now, this is the other verse we have where Allah is saying that she is an example for all the believers. Okay, not just, for example, those who are in a situation where they're living in a society of tyrants. Not just for one gender or the other. No, for all believers. Now, this is something which is quite wonderful. Because what we said about the mother of Nabi Musa is that she's somebody who Allah fulfilled His promise to her. She's a believer, Allah tests her, and despite it seeming like everything is against Allah's promise being fulfilled, He does fulfill His promise. With the case of Asiyah, what was it that she wanted from Allah Ta'ala? Well, one of the things that the Quran teaches us, and this is something that's very beautiful, that when a person who is quoted in the Quran as making a dua, it's more than just them just saying something. It's more than just words. It's an indication of something that's deep rooted in their hearts, and they're calling upon Allah. They're expressing it. They're presenting to Him what they really want from Him. So what is it that Asiyah really wants? She's a believer. Okay, what she really wants is mentioned in this verse right here, is that she wants to be near Allah. She wants to stay near Allah. She doesn't want to be just taken near Him and then something happens and she has to draw far from Him. No, she wants a bayt, a house there. She wants to dwell there. She wants to live there. And she wants to be far from Pharaoh and far and saved from the people around Pharaoh. She wants nothing to do with them. And this is exactly what Allah gives her. How does He give her that? He gives it to her through shahada. He gives it to her through her martyrdom. In hadith we're told that there's a story of how she comes to know how Pharaoh committed a terrible crime. He martyred the wife of Hizqil. Hizqil is the mu'min of Ali Firawn. He's going to come up later in the story. Inshallah, if we get a chance, we'll talk about him. His wife happened to be a hairdresser for, according to hadith, a hairdresser for the family of Firawn. That was back in the days when people used to have hairdressers, right? She would cut the hair. And one day, one of the family members hears her say Bismillah. And this family member questions her. She says that, do you mean like my father, like the Pharaoh? And she says, no, I mean like the Lord, my Lord and the Lord of your father. And that creates a whole scene. Eventually, Pharaoh summons her and he says that, who do you believe? Do you believe in the God of Musa? She says, I believe in my Lord and your Lord. He brutally martyrs her. And when he goes and brags about it to his wife, then she's appalled. And she then determines that it's her responsibility to share that she is a believer. Now, at that point, according to hadith, Firawn, he actually puts stakes into her and he martyrs her. Now, but the Quran is telling us something very powerful. Just like with Musa, the mother of Musa, Asiyah is somebody who was tested and tried, but she arrived at the promise of Allah for her. Allah helps the believers, and that's something that we can apply to us as well too. In terms of the connection to us, inshallah, we don't have a chance right now, but inshallah, if Allah gives us the tawfiq, then we'll try to explain more about that tomorrow. My apologies for the technical issue. Inshallah, we hope that we can do better tomorrow. May Allah Ta'ala accept our a'mal. Nas'alukum ad-du'a. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليًّا ولي الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليًّا ولي الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله عليك وعلى آلك الطيبين الطاهرين والحمد لله رب العالمين.